Yeah, that's what we say around here now. Bring on the funk, baby. And welcome once again to another episode of Swing Thoughts. What a pleasure to have an opportunity to, what do you call this, Coach Tim? Is it a fellowship? Is it a, are we having fellowship? Are we do, what do you do fellowship? Do you create fellowship?
You immerse yourself in it. You luxuriate in it. You have a ring of it? No, I don't know.
Well, whatever it is, we're happy to have a group of people that are like-minded or looking to level up their mental game. It's golf spiritual leader along with Coach Tim, and now for the past decade plus, we've been having, we hope, interesting conversations about this weird aspect of life known as golf and the vagaries and the ups and downs of this game. And as always, we're really thrilled to be brought to you by TaylorMade QI 4D drivers. You know, Timmy, I wanted to do this this billboard today, kind of in my best Nance sort of / broadcaster, because sometimes when I'm talking, I don't think people are, I don't put on like a broadcaster voice, you know.
You didn't start with hello, friends.
Well, I'm going to do this today. What I'm going to do this is my best broadcaster. Should I start with hello, friends?
That would be a perfect transition for you just to drop into character, I believe.
Hello, friends. Hello. This episode of Swing Thoughts is brought to you by TaylorMade QI 4D drivers. They're fastest, most fittable drivers yet. It's time to find your new fast. Could you imagine? You imagine if I was like, you introduced me to one of your friends, you were like, "Hey, this is my buddy Howard." Hello, friends. Hello, friend of Tim's. You know, there are guys I worked with in radio years ago that literally walked around going, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Skip Kevin." And some guys just live in this part of their voice. But
I totally get it. Yeah. Could you kind of met at a club or something, and here's my buddy. He's a broadcaster. And you go, "How's it going?" "In a world."
In a world fraught with. That's what we should call it. Golf is a horror movie. This Friday, you will be amazed. Golf. Anyway, we're happy to. I just want to say off the top, this is the first time on Monday I was playing in a tournament, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week. But I was playing on Monday, and after the round, Tim had asked me to record something, and I had our friend Kent Osborne with us and with me, and I asked him to do it, and we're going to meet him in a second. And I said, "Hey, could you just record this thing for Tim?" And then we go to the part of the range. I wanted to get away from the main part of the range at Blue Springs, and there was Tim O'Connor. Did you feel, was it apparent the love and affection that your buddies have for you?
I was awash in it, and I had the hugs to prove it. Yeah, it was awesome. Good to see you guys. Good to see you non-pixelated people, real people.
Yeah. I gave Tim a hug because I haven't seen Tim since the winter, and I hugged him, and then there's always a moment in the bro hug, universe where you're supposed to let go. I like to hold way past that moment where it gets a bit uncomfortable. And I said to Tim, "Hold me. Don't let me go." Anyway.
Yeah, it's good to see you. And I just wanted to say that, speaking of, I don't know, we all have favorite words that we like. Like recently, we've been doing a lot of hearkening on this show.
I love a good hearken.
And also, we've had some vagaries. And you managed to work vagaries into your little testimonial for me that you recorded.
I right now, I mean, I'm awash, as you said, in the Monday hearken back to the hug. It was great. And it was great seeing you in person. I guess we should get Kent involved here because he's our guest today. Well, I wouldn't even say a guest anymore. Friend of show, regular contributor. He's the author of several books about this bizarre game. We all met because of a book called Scratch Attitude. That's his first. And his second, On Playing Golf, is going to come out in a couple of weeks. And we're going to get Kent back to talk about that. Welcome back, Kent Osborne.
Good morning, lads.
Well, we spent a lot of time together this week. Monday and Tuesday, we were playing in something called the Club Link Shootout. Not to, I guess we have to say it, former champions of this event.
Yeah. Well, let's harken back to that for a while.
That's right. Yeah, it was a couple of years ago, but in our minds, it seems like only yesterday. People may remember last year when we were trying to defend our title, we ended up making 2 double bogeys in the scramble portion of the. We had a 9-hole scramble on the first day and a 9-hole alternate shot, and in last year we made 2 double. We made back-to-back doubles.
We radically improved this year, Howard.
Yes, we did. Well, yeah, we got to that hole. We got to the double bogey hole, and we were a little bit shaky. In fact, I think KO there had to sink. Well, it was a pretty good size putt. Like it was a good 10-foot, 8-foot putt to avoid a double bogey.
For bogey.
For our Blue Springs listeners, that's number 6. Is that correct?
No, it was 7. 6 we parred.
Oh, 7 down the
thing.
Down
and
the
we
thing,
both hit mediocre drives, and we were under a tree. We chipped out into a bunker, and where we remained for several shots, and then we finally got it out of the bunker, and then the KO man sank a nice windy 9-footer to save the double. So we made bogey we still made a bogey in a scramble.
Yeah. What can you do?
Well, thanks for confirming your humanity.
So what I wanted to get to today, we all three of us talk so much away from this podcast that it's hard sometimes to keep it all straight. But I thought, here's a nice conversation starter. I thought we would begin because I came across this. I'm not sure if this kid was a D1 player or not, but for a young man, he's got a pretty cool handle on the vagaries, but actually a different V word. Not the one you guys are thinking of. Calm down, okay? I know you've been married a long time, so.
Sigh.
So not that V word, but the word variance. And when it comes to golfers and their handicaps, sometimes I think, I know as a better player, and I'm sure you've had this experience, you too, where, when someone asks you your handicap, especially when it gets down to lower single digits or scratch. And I, Kent and I've been scratch, close to scratch, hovered around scratch most of last summer. But, when somebody asks you your handicap, sometimes I'm a bit shy to say it because, especially you're about to play, because you never know. Because most people think if you're a scratch golfer or a low single digit player, you're going to shoot that every day you play. So have a listen to this clip from this kid. And he's a +4. I think you'll find this interesting.
I think one of my favorite questions that I get asked by people if they find out that I'm a +3 or +4 or +5, a D1 golfer, whatever it was, is when people ask like, oh, okay, so what do you shoot? My brother. What day? How hard's the wind blowing? Where am I playing? I have so many different versions of myself that could show up on any given day. You have no idea. Every time I get asked this question, my head spins. I'm like, I don't know how in depth or how far down this rabbit hole I want to go. Normally I'll just give a past win. So like, oh, like around even par, maybe just under par, whatever it is. But in my mind, I'm always thinking like, dude, you have no idea the complexity of the question you just asked me. I have rounds in me that'll make you question why I'm not on tour, and I'll have rounds on me where you'll question how I could possibly have the handicap that I do. In golf, I have found that I am always one day away from a catastrophically horrible round and a record-breaking amazing round. Who knows? Let's just go play a round and we'll see who we get today.
I love that. Let's go play around and see who we get today. Where does that land with you two?
First off, I want to know who is that very articulate young man?
I have no idea. I just came across him on my feed, and I just thought, it's just a smart kid talking, a pretty young kid too, like early 20s.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if his golf doesn't work out, he has a future perhaps in broadcasting. He's dead on, man. You just never know. It's like the old Forrest Gump box of chocolates thing. You just even on a perfect day, let's say no wind, and you're playing in a tournament with some people and everything's great. You're defending champ. You could still mess the bet up, as they say. It's just what happens. We just don't know what we're going to pull out of ourselves on any given day. I mean, you can even see it. You can see it almost every week on the PGA Tour. Somebody will shoot, say, a 65 or 66, and the next day they shoot 75, and they're down the road. It's just the vagaries of the game. Kent, what's your take on that?
Well, I think my handicap is full of shit in the sense that three-quarters of the time I'm not going to shoot that number.
Absolutely.
So I look at my average. Like this year, right now, if you went on Golf Canada, you'd see I'm playing to a 3. But the reality is that I haven't broken 78 this year. So if you're a 3 handicap, your average score is going to be 77, 78, 79. So for me, I don't like to think in terms of handicap. I mean, you have to have one because
to compete
at your club and all that kind of stuff. But
and what I liked about his little essay there is let's see what we get today isn't just about the handicap. I mean, we have a handicap in golf, as you say, because the way that tennis clubs have a ranking so that players of different levels can play together. That's what golf is. But the handicap system in golf is about your potential.
You know what the question that the young man is asked, what that speaks to is what we all do. We all have expectations. So if someone has a plus handicap, like automatically you think, wow, this kid shoots 68 falling out of bed. But that's not what happens, as Kent nicely articulated about being a 3 and the scores he's shooting. So the better approach, I think, always is rather than having expectations, because that leads to judgment, whether I'm meeting them or not. I have certain standards. If I'm meeting them, then things are kind of okay, and then I make a couple bad swings, and now I'm disappointed. Oh my God, up and down. So I love the young man's approach of let's just see what happens today. I just love that. And really, you could almost bring that down to every shot. I'm going to go through my process. I'm going to do my best and give my best effort, and whatever happens, happens, because I cannot control the result.
I like that, Tim.
Well, thank you. Could you give me your 2 cents on it? I mean, this is your turn to talk.
Yeah, so I just want to point out, Kent, when we're not talking, we're kind of hoping that you might.
All right, fair enough. Well, I have this little system that I use, and the little system is like it's an arc, and on the far left I put the best number I shot, like say par, and on the far right I put a high number like 88, 89, and I cut it in the middle because I've got basically an 18 shot swing on my efforts on the golf course. And right up the middle right now is 79, and I break those into 4 quarters, and I identify, okay, what's a great round, what's a good round, what's an okay round, what's a bad round. Because one of the things I don't want to do with a round or with a shot is I don't want to actually have a good round and come off the golf course framing it like I've had a bad round.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, I'm playing later today. So the reality is if I shoot 78, 79, I've had a really good round with the way I'm playing lately. If I shoot 81, 82, I've had an okay round. I don't want to frame that as if, like the sky is falling.
Yeah.
Shoot 81. And neither do I want to hit what is, we've talked about this before, the idea that you have to have, it's wise to know you can't feel good on the golf course. You literally can't feel good on the golf course if you don't have a sense of what a good shot is for you.
Well, I was going to say that, because that's something that's a drum that I've been beating for a long time, which is what keeps people, what keeps the internal thermostat at neutral, for me at least, and I think it works for a lot of other people, and especially if you're into strategy, which is if you don't know what a good shot is, how will you ever know if you've hit it? I've used this example a million times. If you're 150 yards away from the green on the PGA Tour, your proximity average is somewhere around 20-something feet, 22.5, let's say it's 25 feet. So for us, amateur nerds, if we're 150 out and we hit it to 40 feet and go, you see people go, oh, shit. And I'm like, dude, at your handicap level, hitting the green from 150 anywhere on the green. Yeah. And for better players, maybe you tugged it slightly and you're 35 feet, but you're just off the green pin high, that's still proximity-wise a good shot. So, I mean, that example of, let's see what we get today is from, as you pointed out, Tim, from a shot to the result of your round.
Yeah.
You just never know. But if your expectations get in the way, then you will leave feeling less than pleased.
The way I think about expectations is that it's having an expectation isn't a problem. It's when the expectation isn't conscious. You have to put it out there in front of you and be aware of it. So, for example, 150 yards out, you know what? I can hit it to 5 feet, maybe once a month if I play 30 rounds. You know what I mean? Like it's going to happen occasionally, but it's not going to happen all the time. So you have to put that expectation right in front of you and be clear about it. Like for me, what I say to myself is if I'm 150 yards out, if I have a putt anywhere on the green, I've hit a good shot. Yeah. And I want to feel good about it. That's the key. Like I want to feel good about my golf. I want to feel good on the golf course. I want to enjoy myself. Well, and that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and knowledge is power. Awareness is curative. All those things. And if you're aware, whether you have a system or not, and I'm going to talk in a second after Tim comments about something I heard Carl talking about, another friend of the show about. But we're all saying is knowing where you're at, whether it's your handicap or your average score or what a good shot is all part of enjoying the game more so you don't beat yourself up over some weird expectation that you built up. Timmy?
Yeah, well, I think what you're both talking about is, I'll say, conscious awareness and perspective. And maybe they're the same damn thing. But I love, Kent, what you're talking about, that your little system there. That's really cool because I think we've all, golfers of, intermediate levels who've played pretty well, there's such a difference between 79 and 80. And so let's say you miss like a 4-footer to save par or something on the 18th hole and you shoot 80. Well, I've had the experience many times where I walked off the golf course and then trudged to my car and head home, radio silent, sulking, because it was just, the game went into the dumper. But if we take perspective, I mean, we look at it like, okay, I'm standing in front of my house. I just see my house. And then I'm in, say, a plane and I'm going across, I can see my house and all the houses. So I have a much clearer version of everything and I can hold it in balance. And that's why perspective and conscious awareness are so massive in this game, so that we kind of think like, okay, what's going on here today? What am I feeling? Do I have any expectations? Can I let them go? Because otherwise you just ride that emotional roller coaster and, you make 80 and you drive home sulking.
By the way,
well, to me, boys, you don't love golf unless you love all of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And me loving golf isn't, I love golf when I shoot 73. Well, you know what? That's going to happen occasionally. And I'm also going to shoot 85, 86. You got to love all of it. You got to love all of it. Conscious choice to be there.
Well, and I quote you often about, who did we play with? It's this. I'll be honest with you. At my age, I've played 4 rounds in 3 days with 3 different groups of people, a couple different partners, and so some stuff will bleed into. But we played with somebody. I think it was you and I, Kent, with the first round on Monday, who is a very, very good player, but he was getting almost like we're only a couple holes into the round, and this guy was already in disappointment mode. Almost immediately. And when you're playing with, and listen, it's not easy playing with 2 gurus. He hit a few shots that ended up great that he was pissing and moaning about while the ball's in the air. While the ball's in the air. And by the way, pissing and moaning is a great expression because we all know golfers. And I know another golfer who's a +1 golfer who literally sounds like he's never hit a good shot because it's like we make fun of how much noise he makes after what he seems like a miss hit to him, and it's 280 yards down the right side of the fairway. But this guy on Monday, and you're playing with Kent and I, so we noticed right away that he was pissing and moaning over almost every shot. And needlessly so. And it's weird when you get to be our age and not know that there are, just as you were pointing out, there's different categories of scores. There's different categories of shots. And if you don't have some perspective and some pre-awareness, you're just going to be miserable, and you're going to ride, as Tim said, like you're going to ride the roller coaster of emotions, good, bad, score, good, shot, bad, good, bad. And it's just, it's tedious.
Yeah, well, going back to what Kent said, if you love golf, you have to love all of it.
Yeah.
And loving all of it is, you're going to have days where the weather ain't so great, and then you have days where it's amazing, and both are okay. And you're going to play with different kinds of people. And the idea to me is, let's be a good partner. Let's listen to someone's stories. Yeah, maybe they talk too much, which I know about. Or just, it's just being a good person to be with. And that way, whenever if we accept all of it, then the game can be that much more enjoyable, in all of its complexity and all of its beauty.
So one of the things I like to say is, never ever should on yourself.
Oh, there you go.
When you're on the golf course. And I saw something the other day about, like, this guy was talking about how if you're waking up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, you likely have a cortisol problem. You've got too much cortisol in your system. And look, I'm no doctor, but it seems to me that if you're in that state where you're calling yourself an idiot or you're pissing and moaning, there's a slow level cortisol drip in your system. So, to actually spend time and money to be on the golf course and to be, over the course of a number, wrecking your well-being.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy when you think about it.
Well, the science behind it, because, again, I've joked and I've talked on this show for a decade that the worst golfer in terms of all the bad habits a golfer can have that I ever met was me. But some of the science behind what you just mentioned in terms of cortisol spiking, and this is one of the things that probably 5 or 6 years ago, Timmy and I talked to somebody, and it came up in conversation that when I was getting mad, slamming clubs and, very demonstrative, we way past pissing and moaning, getting really viscerally. If you'd have seen me, you couldn't see pissing and moaning from where
Pissing and moaning was a warm-up.
I would piss and moan just to get ready. Get ready for the fight. And then we had this conversation years ago on the show about how scientifically what happens is when you get angry on the golf course, for most people it takes between 90 seconds and 3 minutes for that cortisol to start to recede. And that's why a lot of times people will have a bad hole and then another bad one and another bad one, and it takes a few holes to calm their systems down. And that made a big difference for me. I thought, okay, if I want to be a good tournament player, I'm doing myself harm, not just because I fucking sound like an asshole screaming about a golf shot, but because physically it was getting in the way of me moving forward.
Yeah.
Which is why we talk a lot about in the world of scratch attitude and swing thoughts that, there's only two responses to a golf shot. It's either neutral or positive.
Right
and,
on.
I played 72 holes of tournament golf in the last 3 days. I hit a lot of very poor shots, we'll call it. But my reaction, and I said this to Kent, it's like any other practice. I have practiced my reactions to poor shots. So now that they're instinctive. But they weren't initially. I had to sort of, I had to really think about not getting pissed off. And because of what I just said, because I didn't want it to get in the way of me advancing.
Yeah.
Interesting. So a lot of stuff you guys are talking about, you mentioned the word science. It's like, it's logical. I mean, if I'm going to play golf, it's absolutely logical that I'm going to enjoy all of it, and accepting bad shots is definitely a part of it. But as humans, we're really anything but logical at an instinctual level. Things happen, reptilian brain, all this stuff. I launch yesterday I played, and Coach Tim didn't have a great day yesterday playing. And there was a couple of times in which the driver went bang, on the tee deck, but and accompanied by the F word. But so I reacted instinctively. I didn't go into like a pissing and moaning hissy fit. But what I'm talking about here is that conscious awareness thing is what happens to me on the golf course in certain situations. That's where I need this awareness, like, oh, there I go again. I've been doing this since I was 3 years old. Things don't go my way. I start to tighten up. I look for, this is me. This is what I tend to do. I tend to look for solutions to things. I want to control my world. Why? Because historically that behavior has kept me safe. But it hasn't allowed me to say, be free in the way I speak, free the way I want to play golf, to swing a golf club. So that awareness helps me to respond better when I hit a drive into the farmer's field.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, look, I want to, this might sound, I don't know how it sounds, but I want to be like a kid throwing a Frisbee to a dog on a beach. I just want to enjoy it. And if I throw the thing sideways, occasionally I throw it sideways.
Yeah. And we're all, again, this soup that we're making, it's all, all the ingredients are similar, and there's different ways of saying it. And one of our friends, Carl Morris, I happened to listen to a recent podcast of his, and I think we've had him explain this before, but it's such a simple, way of maybe a nice takeaway today for some perspective. Like we talked a little bit about Kent's system of, we all have sort of 4 different versions of the golf scores that can show up, from good to, not so good. But there's that in every golf shot. So Carl has this system of giving the shot some perspective. And it's a really nice way of looking at it. 1 being a good shot. So you hit a shot. And rather than it all being shitty or not shitty, it's 1 is a good shot, 2 is good enough, and 3 is poor. And so you look back at a round, you think, sometimes, for me at least, I'll think, I didn't really feel like I played that well today. And then I look back and I think, oh, wait a second. That was a 1, that was a 2, that was a good enough. Rather than thinking, oh, I've missed the fairway and thinking of it as a poor shot. No, it's good enough because I can still advance the ball forward. Mm-hmm. And it's just a nice way of kind of giving your brain a place to go versus everything being black and white, good, bad, pass, or fail. What do you think of that?
I like it. And that actually, I've been thinking and talking to clients lately about the whole idea of assessment, which our good friend Dick Zokel talks about. And I think that's what you're talking about, is assessing what happened and assessing it when we're doing that, we're not necessarily operating from a place of, say, being emotional. When we're trying to assess something, we tend to be kind of more a little bit left brain, what's going on here. And so, as you've said, Howard, you kind of lower the thermostat on the emotional part of it. And then we can start to see what happened there. And then we can discern, I say we can look at the particulars a little bit more and see what actually happened there versus having an emotional reaction, which you can't learn from.
Well, here's something that's popped into my head. I'm going to take you back to the early stages of my career. I think, quote unquote, career.
Do you have some background music, Howard, you could play there?
I could, but I'm just too riveted to know where this is going.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a hole at a course, and I think it was probably 3 years before I made par there. And I remember the first time I parred that hole, it was about a 420-yard par 4. I rolled it off the tee about 40 yards in front of me.
That's right.
And ever since that, there's been so many moments where I've made great recovery shots or made a par and felt great.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't hit that absolute shit shot to start with, then I wouldn't have had that experience.
I couldn't agree with you more. There was a bunker shot that I hit. Was it with you?
Yeah. Well, you sure hit a hell of a bunker shot when we were playing together.
There was the one where you sort of short-sided me. I think it was an alternate shot. And I as soon as you hit in the bunker, it was like, it's not the most ideal place, but I was like excited physically and kind of going, I've got this shot. I'm kind of excited about hitting this shot because, if every shot you hit in golf was good in the fairway or on the green, it wouldn't be the same vibe. But for some reason, human beings, Tim, why do we want to avoid those situations? Whereas, Kent just pointed out, it can produce the most incredible experiences.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, Fred Shoemaker was on the show, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, and he said that, what if you sort of dribbled one off the tee, but you knew that would be the best round you ever had. I mean, because you just never know what is going to happen. But the people who I think are a joy to play with, but also tend to play well, are those people who misfortune happens. They're going to hit bad shots and whatnot, but they just have this attitude of, okay, oh, that just happened, and I'm just going to go deal with it. And I remember Bob Rotella talking about Chip Beck back in the day.
Yeah.
And he said Chip Beck was like the most optimistic person he ever met. It might be thunder and lightning. How you doing? Oh, great day. Kind of like Kevin Thistle, if you remember.
Yeah,
Kevin Thistle. But anyways, Rotella said that Chip Beck would hit it in the woods and then he'd go, okay, how do we make birdie from here?
That's right.
I mean, it's just such a better attitude to have, rather than kind of a default, oh, I hit it in the woods, therefore my swing's not in the slot today, and it's going to be, misery and woe all fucking day.
Well, I'm playing golf in a couple of hours, and what are the chances of me going on the golf course and not hitting what Carl Morris would call a number 3 shot?
Zero
chances. None.
Yeah, none.
Not a chance. So I either choose to, either I'm going to go to the golf course with this fantasy that everything is going to be 1s and 2s.
Yeah.
Or I go to the golf course as an optimistic realist, saying to myself, you know what, self, there's going to be 1, 2s, and 3s. I hope there's fewer 3s than there are 1s, but right. I'm choosing to play golf today.
I've said this now 1,000 times. Human beings, for some reason, think today's the day that nothing bad is going to happen in their lives. When I don't mean bad like tragic, I'm talking about you didn't get the light, if somebody cut you off, somebody, and golf is like that. We have that word you use. Golfers have this fantasy that today's the day nothing is going to show up but 1s and 2s. And the funny thing is, like, we played golf on the second round, Kent and I, with a guy that used to be at Glencairn who years ago left. Well, he didn't play. I didn't play very much with him, but my demeanor as a golfer would be unrecognizable to him because I only have 2 reactions. I have 0 reaction to bad shots. Yeah, once in a while I'll get frustrated because it's like, come on, golf. But my baseline reaction, you played enough golf with me, Ken. Get excited over fun shots. But both of us hit some bad shots, and it's just like, hey, no worries. Let's go hit the next one.
Do you know what was really great though? We were playing, good to okay golf, both of us, kind of average-ish. But when we hit a great shot, we really enjoyed it.
Well, that's a great segue because we really do like that. We really do get excited over good shots. Probably the men that we play with are a little bit. Because what men are like. Men are very comfortable expressing anger, not as comfortable expressing joy and what is the word? Ebullient.
Like, ooh, that's a big word. I'll have to look that one up.
But
the best I ever saw,
ebullience.
Okay, I mean, that's a big. I'll have to look that one up.
I'm looking it up now,
and I'm a word guy. The best I ever saw or experienced in terms of completely going a 180 from hitting a bad shot and having a hissy fit to the other way was I was playing with Henry Brunton many, many years ago when he was I guess he was the director of golf at Lionhead, and the movie Tin Cup had just come out, and of course he'd seen it. And he hits this drive, and the ball is maybe a microsecond from being hit. It's just being launched, and he yells, "Tuning fork!" because he just totally embodied it, and it was like it sort of startled me, the
Yeah.
volume, but the ebullience, the enthusiasm that
Yeah,
he
ebullience.
that he embodied in that, it was just like so amazing. I know he was sort of exaggerating. He was probably performing a little bit for me, but I mean, really, to respond with absolute joy, rapture when you occasionally, very occasionally, absolutely nut one
Absolutely.
in the sweet spot of like that is something, folks, that's really rare. So let's effing celebrate it.
That's what we're
Ebullience,
paying for.
let me just do this, is the quality of being cheerful, highly energetic, and full of unrestrained enthusiasm.
Whoa, there you go. Good word.
KO, what were
Appropriate
you saying?
even.
That's like me as I pull into the parking lot at the Mandarin.
That's, that's right. Nothing gets KO more excited than a buffet. And for you people who don't know the Mandarin, it's Chinese food, but you can also get roast beef, so it's got everything.
But Ken, I thought you were a grilled cheese guy. I don't think you get grilled cheese at the Mandarin.
Well, I love grilled cheese too, but
buddy,
I'm a food guy.
Hey,
Period.
dude, I got a place for you here in the city. I went with my youngest on a couple of, I guess last week we went for lunch together, and I had a grilled cheese sandwich, and they serve it with a little side cup of tomato soup, but it was like elevated grilled cheese with Munster cheese and a little bit of bacon in there. KO, you would have lost your mind.
Was it called the Comfort Place?
No, actually, it's a place called Yolks. It's like a really cool little breakfast place. Okay, so before we let Kent go, I got to set this up. So it's a 2-day event. Monday, 9 holes of alternate shot. And the second round is 9 holes of a scramble, then an alternate shot. Then the second day is playing your own ball. It's better ball. And as you said, we had moments of sort of good to okay. Both of us had a couple nice boomalas here and there. And then we played these guys. So we tied for 7th after the first round out of 35 teams. And then we played with the other guys that were kind of around our score. And in the front 9, Kent and I did not have our best stuff. And by the way, I remember that bunker shot was at 9 at Greystone because I had short-sighted myself and you were on the other side. It was a really cool shot. So we kind of were scrapping it around and Greystone, and we made a double bogey at Greystone. We just had one of those things where neither of us could bogey the hole. So from the 8th hole on, though, we made a par. Then we made another par on 9. But these guys were even par as a team on the front 9, and we were 4 over par on the front 9 as a team. So not great. Then on 10, we both hit decent drives. Kent's down the left-hand side. It's Greystone. It's a par 5. And I hit a really good, drive for an old guy. It's like 270.
You were 30, 40 ahead of me.
No, I'd hit it really well. So yeah. Kent gets up, and he lays up with this hybrid, just beautiful swing, like just tuning fork, ball goes up, and I'm like, great shot, bud. And meanwhile, for the last 9 and 10, we've been being beat by these guys, and I get up. Okay, do you want to take it from here? Should I describe the shot?
So Howard's got, I think it's either 232 or 235 pin. You've got to hit the ball at least 220 in the air to carry the ravine. And Howard gets up with a 3-wood, and he hits this absolutely quality Champions Tour level 3-wood. I mean, as soon as he hit it, it was just gorgeous. The height, everything about it. It hits right at the front of the green. So he probably carried it 230, takes a little bounce, starts to roll towards the hole, just misses going in. I think it ends up about 8 feet past the hole. And then I turned around. I sort of, there was a moment of silence. I turned around and I looked at Howard and I said, how are these two fucking humps beating us?
It was so good. Well, I think what I wrote down was for beating us.
Yeah.
But
Howard, you froze there for a sec.
Okay, can you? Yeah. I did. Am I back now?
Yeah, you are.
Okay,
yes,
because the people on the podcast would have heard that. No, is this one of those things where, and ironically enough, we beat them on the back 9. We shot even par as a team on the back 9 and ended up, I think, tied with them or not. But it was just one of those moments. You want to talk about ebullience. Ebullience It was an ebullient moment.
A new word.
But it's a quality that, again, I want to go back to the word practice. You have to practice this. You have to embody it, because if you can't fake it, like that wasn't fake. Both of us reacted. Like I knew as soon as I hit it. There was one of those swings where I'm like, okay, KO's in good shape. Would I have attempted that shot on my own ball in a tournament? Probably not. Probably not, because of you want to talk about the classic risk reward. There's nothing but risk to it. Yeah. It's anyone who's played Greystone, it's the 10th hole. It's got a ravine in front of the green. It's very, very narrow, and you either hit it great or you're going to make. Like I would have been in the hazard and I might have made a bogey. I could have probably eked a bogey out of it. But if I were playing my own ball, I probably would have laid up, just because of the, my buddy Paul, Yoda Paul, has a great expression. You can make a birdie with your third shot. You don't need to hit the green in two. And as it turned out, we both made birdies because, Greystone, I had an 8-footer for eagle. And, it's like a 4-foot, it's like Greystone. It's like a 8-foot putt.
Yeah,
4
exactly.
feet to break it. It was ridiculous. But it was the kind of moment where I knew he was in great shape. So it freed me up to make that swing. And it was, I know you said, Tim, something about driving home in silence. Sometimes when I've played really well or I've had a couple really good shots like that, I also drive home in silence thinking about it. Like,
But here's what you didn't do, Howard. What you didn't do was you didn't do, like I don't know what I said. I probably said, "Oh man, thing of beauty" or something like that.
Yeah.
On the balls. Here's what you didn't do. You didn't do it well. It's about time I showed up.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Like,
well, hearkening back to things that we've said on this show before,
or even a blind squirrel finds a nut. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't say
all that. Yeah, which is all, again, back in the judgment thing. But it's so important to have an intention, and so I'm sure the part of your intention of playing together is let's have fun today.
Absolutely.
Which is totally different than let's play well. Let's have fun. We'll just have a great time, and that's why I think that intention is such an important thing in this game, because it takes us out of kind of the micro of, I hope today my driver's in the slot and I don't 3-putt today. The stuff we all struggle with stuff. It takes it to a macro level of today I'm going to choose one. I'm going to just being a great partner today. Today I'm going to hit shots with a sense of freedom. Today I'm going to have fun. And when you have that intention going in, it helps us when we do slide back down to get back out of it quicker. So I think that's really important. But I also want to ask, do you guys play alternate shot? Do you have like a little rule? I think it's very important in alternate shot that you have a rule of never saying you're sorry.
No, ours is the opposite. We often say, "What are you kidding me with that shit?" What is that? Is that really? Are you even trying? Are you even?
Are you trying to fuck me over?
Are you? What do you want? You don't like me anymore? Is that what you're fucking telling me? What were you going to say, Ken?
There's one hole in the alternate shot, and I'm in the rough. Howard hit a good drive, but he's slightly in the rough. I'm about 135 out, something like that. So and Howard comes over to me and goes, "Well, KO, you remember this hole? Like over there on the right." There's that bunker. You don't want to go there.
Right.
Green slopes left to right, just anywhere left. Don't.
The whole world is left.
Yeah, and so obviously I hooked the fucking thing right into the bunker, and Howard just drops the head.
I was just kind of quiet for a second.
I was going to say, God damn it, man! Can you give me some good instructions, some clear, directions?
Because we don't always do that, but it's that whole Tim on the back nine at Blue Springs. I think it's after the par 5. It's the 13th maybe, where the green goes way left to right, and there's that huge bunker. There's another bunker shot that I hit to that was
that was brilliant.
That was a great bunker shot. But so we have this quick discussion, and I say, Kent, listen, whole world's left, everything's left, miss it left, and he bloops it into the bunker, and I did kind of do. I just kind of stared at him for a second. I'm like. Did you not? That was me who was having that discussion with you a second ago. Ken, you were going to say something before that too. You wanted to jump in.
I forgot.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Let's see what we get today is a good theme for today. And,
What I was going to say
go
was,
ahead.
When you go to the golf course, sometimes I think, okay, I want to get a return on my investment today. My return on my investment isn't that I'm going to shoot the course record, and it's not that I'm going to be somehow invited to qualify for the Champions Tour. My return on investment is that I actually enjoy, that I experience play.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what this new book that everyone in the golf world is eagerly anticipating.
Absolutely.
The phone
The
calls,
follow up to my book, you mean?
crazy.
All right.
But it's just about experiencing play, enjoying myself.
One of the things because I've read the new book. One of the things I like to take away from it, or have taken away from it, is this expression: "Let golf be golf." It's just golf. We're just playing a game. Let it be a game. Speaking of books, just before I let you go, the new book is called "On Playing Golf," and we'll have you back to talk about it. I got an email. Well, it's not an email. I guess it's a text from somebody who says, "Swing Thoughts sells books, Kent. Just so you know, Swing Thoughts sells a book." This is from Judd Curry, who said, "Absolute game changer," and he sent me a picture of Fred Shoemaker's Extraordinary Golf. Just want you to know, Kent, you're in the right place.
Right.
To sell a book. On Playing Golf is coming out.
Yes.
I just wanted to circle back. Okay, I wanted to hearken back to the idea of setting that day's intention, because you're about to go play golf today, and I think another takeaway for a lot of people today should just be that, like, if you're not controlling the intention, then it's going to control you. Then you'll be controlled. So I played in a tournament yesterday. I didn't 36 hole, similar format to the 2 days that I played with Kent with a different partner. And we get there. It's in Barrie National Pines, a very nice golf course. And we tee off at 9. When we get there, I find out, first thing I find out is there's no senior division. The guy I'm playing with he's like a +1. He's a really good golfer. But neither of us are like kids. He's 63, I'm 66. So the first thing we find out is there's no senior division, and we're playing the back tees. And I made a conscious decision. I said to myself, I can either do one of two things. I can let that be the day, like, oh, fuck, here I go. No matter what, it's going to be too long. Think about the laundry lists of shit going back to...
This is unfair. This is unreasonable.
This is unfair. I spent a lot of money. I'm going
My
to be
hip's
playing
going to hurt.
Par 3s are 215 yards, and par 4s are 440 into the wind. But I said to myself, I can either try and swing harder to maybe get another 10 yards out of this old body of mine, or I can see how many just good, solid swings I can make. And wherever it goes, it goes. And weirdly enough, I said to Ken on the way home, I called him. I said, dude, one of my best driving rounds of the year, not just for how far I was hitting it, but just the type of contact and keeping it in play. And that golf course is narrow. It's long and it's narrow, and there's 3 or 4 holes where I hit really good drives and I still had a hybrid into the green a couple of times. And I thought, well, this is where I'm at today. But it really just changed the camera view a little bit on it. Yeah. Just enough to keep me engaged.
Well, what I like about that is in essence what I think you're doing is I'm going to immerse myself in this experience, and I'm just going to relish it and just enjoy it the best I can.
Yeah.
And that approach, I think, can just pay so many dividends. I'll try and keep this one brief. I remember having this meeting years and years ago with a guy who self-published a book. And so I was considering the same thing. And so I met with them and we had coffee, talked about the nuts and bolts of it. And then he started to give me his testimony about how he found Jesus, et cetera. And, I'm a person of faith. So I started to listen, but this testimony was really in depth. I mean, and then, so I'm going, oh my God, really? But instead of like, please, dear God, get me out of here, it was like, okay, I'm going to so pay attention to this. I'm just going to just take all this in for the entertainment value and whatever wisdom I can gather from his experience. And it was really interesting. And so I think I'll take a snippet of that conversation and use it in a novel sometime.
Yeah.
But it's just experiencing whatever happens, and I'll lapse into judgment. I'll have my normal reactions, but then I'll kind of like, if I can have that intention to just enjoy experience and savor them for whatever's there's there to be taken, it's just an easier way to deal with everything.
Yeah, I can just imagine this guy's starting to do his testimony, and meanwhile, God's up there going, "Better you than me, Tim. Take it over to you." God's like, I've heard this guy's story about 1,000 times. Over to you, Tim. Kent Osborne on Playing Golf. He'll be out soon, and when it's ready to be released to the public, we'll get you back in here. Thanks again. Appreciate you, my friend.
I appreciate you, boys, and thanks for having me on this morning.
Yeah, have fun, and good luck next week. KO qualified for the Ontario Senior Match Play.
Thank you.
Looking forward
fantastic.
Looking forward to. And by the way, speaking of tournament players, the guy I played with, Ken, I forgot to tell you this, the first round yesterday at National Pines, I played with a friend of mine who I'd known from the old national days, and his name is Bill Hutchison, and he won the 1995 Ontario Amateur when it was played. I think it was 95, 96, when it was played at Barrie National. And now he's, 55 versus a kid. He set the course in the actual, this is how good this guy is. In the actual Ontario Amateur, because Barrie National was a new course at that time, he set the course record in the tournament. Little sweet 67.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not, it didn't stand, but I mean, that's the level of player he was at. So I just also said to myself, I'm going to play the back tees with some kids today. I'm just going to watch them and see if I can learn something. What do they do? And, what's it like watching and then the second round, we watched a couple of 30-something guys hit it in places I didn't even know you could hit a golf ball. So it was a good experience all around. KO, anyone who wants to get a hold of you, at Scratch Attitude on social media, and a good luck today, and good luck next week.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
All right, Kent. Take care.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
Just let yourself out of the room, and Tim and I will wrap this show up.
Okay.
We'll wrap it up. Hey, I wanted to mention, too, that when I came over at Blue Springs there to say hi to Timmy, that I did the video, and it was great because, Tim, you taped the video of me rather than Kent taping it on my phone and sending it to you. But then we hit balls for a few minutes. It was fun. I was feeling a little bit, I wasn't really liking the way I was releasing my driver. And I got to tell you, man, like it's been a while since we've been on a range together, probably years. But I could tell that you've really upped your game. I don't mean this condescendingly. I mean upped your game in terms of your ability, how your coach speak is at a different level now, I can tell. And I really enjoyed our little, we only had 15 minutes together. And and all it was just, having another set of eyes, asking me you sort of asked some great questions. I mean, I don't know could you maybe recount it? Like you just you didn't give me any swing things. I was working, basically I'm trying to release my driver a little sooner, release it more freely. And you just had just your guidance. I was really impressed. I just wanted you to know.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Well, it's fun. I mean, it's not often you get to work with someone who's in the territory of plus and scratch, because you're dealing with someone with like deep golf knowledge and experience. And I could just tell just from your physicality that you weren't in fact releasing it. There was some tightness there, and there just wasn't a flow. And I remember you just made this one swing where it just seemed that everything happened just in this sort of magnificent sense of flow, in which that ball went out to the right of the target, started to draw in, and just sort of intuited that your body and your arms and hands and club did something different that time. Yeah. And so it was like, okay, there's obviously something cool there happening. So how can I ask questions that'll draw out your experience, rather than so much of me going, oh, dude, you need to swing out to right field and all this stuff. At least I like to start with questions that pull out your experience, because I'm not in your body, and you're swinging a driver, so you're swinging fast. And so that to me was what good coaching is, asking really good questions.
Well, I really enjoyed it, even though it was a short session. I really enjoyed it, and I think I took some of that I certainly hit it better. That was day one. I hit it better day two. And then yesterday, like I said, it was one of my best driving rounds.
Oh, nice.
Given the circumstance, we're playing at close to 6,900 yards. It's a long golf course for me.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't, like, I could have been in a mode of this is going to suck all day because it's a long day. You know, we teed off at 9, and I think we came in, you know, you have lunch, and by the time we were done the second 18, it was 6:30, 6:45. It's a long.
Yeah. What was the event?
It was just an invitational that some guys in Barrie put on. They've been putting it on for years. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of good players. I would tell you, just to give you some perspective, the guys that won it, the kids that won it, the 2-man team, are both +5s, and they were 12 under par as a team for the day. The next closest score, I think, was a couple over par. They were just, and there's one of the kids is a guy named Ryan Sang. He's a pretty famous Canadian golfer. I've been at some tournaments with him in the past, and you couldn't find a nicer kid. He's just a great kid. Yeah, but he's so far heads and shoulders above everybody else in that competition. It was something else.
That's cool. So you said a couple of times with Kent, Barrie National. Is that National Pines?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not. It's the old Club Link used to own it.
Is it renamed Barrie National?
No,
okay.
Maybe just,
that's just what you call it.
Yeah, but National Pines. I call it Barrie National because
I wondered. Yeah,
but yeah,
that's a sweet golf course.
It is a sweet golf course.
Those greens. That's Atomic Broom design.
Yep.
And when it first opened, a lot of people thought those greens were overdone.
Yeah,
a little bit too roller coaster for people's liking. But no, I think that golf course has matured really, really nicely.
It still has a little bit of there's still a bit of a McBroom vibe about it in terms of can be a bit excessive. It's a bit excessive with the roly-poly humps all over the place. But you know, if you're on the right side of them, it's fine.
You know what's interesting about that is that I'm playing now at Deer Ridge this year, which is a McBroom design, which opened in '91. National Pines, I think, also opened in around the same time, I think, late 80s or 90s. But Deer Ridge is a little bit more open. I find it's almost like a carrot course in terms of you're dealing with sort of wide corridors. It's hard to lose a ball there. But the greens are not as I say, roller coaster.
Yeah.
But they're subtle. And it's a great test. I'm just so tickled to be able to play there this year. I'm a corporate designate.
Well, I hope maybe that you and I could, I'd love to come out and play with you sometime there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But it's really neat to play. Of course, I played it with McBroom about 30 years ago.
Well, aren't you? You're cool that way. You've got some cool.
Well, I was a golf writer. I got to do cool shit. Covered the Masters and stuff like that.
And thanks to everyone that has been listening to the show. I keep running into people that go, "Hey, I heard your show. It's about golf." Yeah, it's very cool. Nicholas, free us, Nicholas.
Yes, sir.
This is a kid. He's got ebullience. Hang on a second. Why am I saying it that way?
Ebullience.
Ebullience. Oh, it's right. The boo.
Ebullience.
Ebullience.
Ebullience. Ebullience.
Ebullience. He's ebullient.
You know, if there's nothing you get from this show, if it's not about golf, it may be how to pronounce $1 million words.
Ebullience.
It's a great word. Ebullience.
It is a great
word. Where do people connect with us, Nick?
Yeah, so on Instagram and Twitter, it's swing_thoughts_podcast. YouTube, swing thoughts 1. And then our brand new TikTok, Swing Thoughts 4, is where you can find us on social medias.
Right on, kid. I appreciate you. Tim O'Connor at o'connorgolf.ca. And the Humble and Fred Show bakes this fresh. And as always, thank you to TaylorMade Golf. This is brought to you by the TaylorMade QI 4D drivers. Their fastest, most fittable drivers. I'm telling you, I hit some drives yesterday that I was like, ooh, thank you, TaylorMade. It's time to find your new fast. And we'll see you next week.